What's up, guys? It's Chase from Chase's Workshop, and in this video, I'm going to be going over some of the questions you guys have had about the inflatable fix, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about my bead benders and some of the stuff that's going on with that, and just kind of give you guys an update what's been going on in the shop. Now, one thing that I want to discuss before I go into the questions that you guys have had for me is that, and I can't find the dang thing. Oh, here it is. If you don't have one of these and you're working on your inflatables, these just help out a lot, and they're pretty much a must need for any kind of diagnosing of electronics or electrical things and stuff like that, and that is a voltmeter. Now this is an expensive one. I got this one back when I did HVAC. I did HVAC for like 12 years. My dad owned the company, and he taught me everything I know about electricity, electronics, and stuff like that. So this is probably over $100. Now you don't need a $100 one, so I'm gonna put a link in the description where you can find one that's pretty good that you can use for what you're wanting to do here. Now the main function that you want on a voltmeter for diagnosing these inflatables and stuff is a continuity checker, which is that little guy right there. I'll flip it to it right there. See that? I don't know if you can see it or not. I hope you can see that. It's basically a little arrow with a plus next to it. That's the continuity checker, and all it does is if I touch these two together, I get a beep. The other thing you might want is voltage DC, which is where it's at there, and voltage AC right there. The only time you check voltage AC is if you're checking a socket or something like that. And mainly with the inflatables, all you're going to be checking is DC voltage. Now, with that being said, what I have here is a power supply. Basically, all this guy does is, if you don't know, this thing takes 120 volts from an outlet and converts it to 12 volts DC. Or whatever your says. This one's 12 volts. You might have one that says 5 volts. Could be 18 volts. Could be 10 volts. It just depends on what power supply you got. Now, one thing about these guys is, like I said, it steps at 120 volts down to whatever the rated voltage is on your power supply. Now, where these guys right here come in handy is when you're checking your voltage DC, and I know you remember before about where I talked about how you have the right polarity. And what that means is that you have positive going to positive and your negative going to your negative. And the way you can check a power supply for that is with your voltage DC on your meter here. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to plug it up, try not to blow anything up here. It's kind of a short lead. Anyways, so, whoop, did you see it? See it pop? Hope I didn't just burn it up. But anyways, I should have 12 volts right here if I didn't just destroy this thing. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my red side, which is my positive, and I'm going to connect it to my negative, which is the other side here. And if you look at my meter, it's saying I've got a positive 12.30 volts, okay? Now, the polarity, if I had the polarity reversed, I would get this. I'm going to take the positive that I just had, I'm going to put it to the negative terminal here, which is black, and then I'm going to put the red to my other one. Now, if you see there, I still got 12.30 volts, but I've also got a little negative right there next to it. I don't know if you can see it or not. You see it says negative 12.30. That means I have my polarities flipped. That means that my black right here is my positive and my red right here is my negative. So if I take those and I flip them, put my red back there, black to there, I get positive 12.3 volts. Okay, so that's how that guy works, and that's why that's important, because even when you're hooking up a new power supply to your inflatable, you need to make sure that you have the right polarity. Because if you don't, your fan might work, but your lights may not work, okay? Now, also too, right quick, I'm gonna go over this again about the lights. As you can see here, I've got a light. I'm gonna just 50-50 shot here. I'm gonna hook it up right, because I'm not sure. I'm gonna hook one side to that, I'm gonna hook the other side to that, and I've got power. So I got, my 50-50 chance was good. Maybe I need to go to Tunica this weekend. And then, I'm just kidding. If I hook it up the other way, I get nothing. So my polarity is flipped. It's not working. If I flip it back, try not to cause another arc here. If I hook it up right, we're good. So with that being said, like I said, if you are replacing your power supply, it is still very important that you get the polarity right, because the fan could still run, it still might not run, but if it doesn't, then your polarities are probably messed up, okay? So just make sure that's right. If you hook it up and it doesn't work, flip those two and see if it works, okay? Now the other cool function on this guy is, again, like I said a while ago, the continuity checker, which if you touch them together, and it's the little guy with the plus there, touch them together, I get a beep. Very handy when trying to diagnose if you've got connectivity issues. Where's my light bulb go? I just had the dang thing. Where? Oh, there it is. Okay, so the way this guy works, I'm gonna take and I'm gonna show you. Didn't mean to hit the camera, sorry. Okay, so I've got one light. Now this white wire should be connected to this white wire. And basically the way this guy works is the positive comes in here and it feeds across this light to this negative right here. So you've got a positive and a negative, okay? I should have connectivity between this white wire and this white wire and this gray wire and this gray wire. So we're gonna check it right quick and see. If I get a beep, we're good. So white to white, I get a beep. That means it's connected. We'll do the same thing to the other side. We're good. So that means I have connectivity. That means electricity can flow through that wire and that wire. Now when you're checking like a power supply or something, if you've got a wire that you think's bad or you think that it's not working right, you can always take this and strip a little bit of it back. Say if this was up by your light and say this is down by your power supply or your fan, and you want to make sure that you got connectivity from where your fan goes in to where it goes to your light, you can dropped it to the floor. You can take a little bit of this wire and get some wire strippers. I'll put a link to the description where you can get a good pair of them. Like I said, again, not an expensive pair, just one that will work really easy for doing this. And you can kind of strip this wire back a little bit, and then that gives you a connection point to where you can take one side, hook it to that, take it to the other side, and see if you got connectivity. And if you do, you're good, okay? So that's just some basics to that. Like I said, it's not a lot. There's not a lot to it. One thing to be aware of is that this does step it down to 12 volts. The 120 volts that's in your socket is very dangerous, and it can kill you and it can hurt, because I've been shocked before many times. Like I said, when I was doing HVAC work, it seemed like I got shocked all the time. And so just be very careful when working with that stuff. And these things can fail too and cause 120 volts to come to this side of it. I have never seen it happen, but I'm not saying that it can't happen, okay? Because there is a connection in between there. But basically the way these guys work is they separate the 120 from the 24 volts. And there would have to be a mass failure for that to actually send high voltage to this, because these things work off of it's basically a magnet wrapped with wires wrapped around it, and you have wires wrapped around the other side of it, so there's no actual connection between the 120 and the 12 volts on most power supplies. But it's always good to have one of these just to check and make sure, okay? So anytime you get a new power supply, plug it in, make sure you're getting 12 volts from it, or what it's recommended saying that you're getting, and you should be good to go on that, okay? Now what I want to do is I want to go over some of the questions you guys had, and some of this is covered that I just talked about, covers a few of them, but some of these are recommendations too that some people have put in that I thought were really good ideas. And the first one is a Spoonie81. He says, he or she said, I'm assuming it's a he, I'm not sure. They said that what they do is after Halloween and Thanksgiving, they go to Walmart and buy the inflatables that are marked down to literally nothing, and uses those to get the new motor, get motors out of, lights and stuff like that. So that's a really good idea. He says, I buy cheap inflatables at Walmart after Halloween, Christmas, etc. for under $10 and use the fans out of them to replace bad fans in mine. Very good money-saving tip right there, Spoonie81. We really appreciate it. Thomas Sewell asked, hey, I have a question for you. On the end where it was a dead end, did you connect the wires together? And what he's asking is is right there at the end. Once I wired all these together, do I connect these two together? And do not connect these two together. If you do, you're gonna get a dead short. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna probably burn up. A while ago when I just touched those two wires together, that was a dead short. When I had this guy plugged in and you saw me pop these two, that's a dead short. And what that does is it will eventually destroy this guy here, and it could destroy other parts too. So no, you do not connect these end pieces here. They just stay cut like that, and I would cover them with something just to protect them from the weather. So there you go. Hope that makes sense. Let's see. My Tovarish said, thank you. I was finally able to fix my inflatable because my power cord stopped working, but I have a question about the lights. My lights don't even come on, so would replacing the LED modules even work? In your video, the lights were dim, but mine don't even seem to work. My Tovarish, if this is one that you've already replaced the power supply in, I would make sure that, like I said a while ago, that your polarities are correct, that you've got the right positive going to a positive and negative going to negative, because in some instances the fan could still run and the lights not work at all, because some fan motors might have a polarity where they only work off a certain polarity, some may not. So you might, the fan might be working fine, but the lights not work. And if that's not the case, I would definitely check the wire between the fan and the lights to make sure that they're good with the continuity checker that we talked about, the beep one, beep, beep. I would definitely check that to make sure that that's working. And if that's all good, then yes, you probably got bad lights. And then you can basically replace the whole thing. You can replace from where it comes out of the fan all the way up to your last light. That way. And just remember, guys, but you only can put, if you're taking two lights out, put two lights back in. You don't want to put four lights in there. You're just going to basically overpower this power supply and eventually burn it up. The ones that come in them are cheap as dirt anyways. And like I said, the one I replaced last year, I ended up this year having to put a new power supply on it because, like I said, they're cheap. They're made probably 1 million of them a year. And yeah, they're cheap. They are. So I hope that helps. If not, like I said, send me a message about it and I'll try to get to it. N. Watson replied to Jeannie Poole and said, Jeannie, yardinflatables.com also has motors for sale a bit cheaper than the ones on Amazon for my second video. And then it says, thanks for the great videos. These darn inflatables, LOL. I have one broken wire. I have other broken wires on other regular Christmas lights and needed to learn about connecting options since they will be outside too. Info helpful for that as well. All right, in Watson, if you're talking about Christmas lights that are running off 120 volts, what I would recommend on that is just probably just either buy new lights. But the reason I say that is because those all run off 120 volts. So you're plugging those directly into a power supply, or you're plugging them directly into an outlet. And the problem with cutting those and fixing them, sometimes you can't get a totally 100% watertight connection. And if you get any water in there, or if this thing's lay in a puddle and you step in the puddle, it's gonna be an ouch. It could really hurt somebody. Now a lot of lights, Christmas lights, come with little fuses in there, and they're exactly for that reason. If this thing starts pulling too many amps, i.e. that somebody stepped on it and they're sitting there getting electrocuted, it's going to blow the fuse. Whereas under normal operation, if the thing only pulls half an amp, then the fuses will be fine. But as soon as something happens where it's pulling more amps than normal, it kills the fuse. I'm not really, all these things are made cheap, and you know, there is protections in there, but nothing is 100% fail-proof. So what I'm saying is that if these are lights that you're going to be trying to fix by splicing new lights together, I would look at other options of how you can make that connection 100% waterproof, and that nothing can ever get to it. And if you're trying to untangle them one day and you touch it, it doesn't shock you. I'll just make 100% sure about that, because the difference between that and this is those run off 120 volts. This is 12 volts we're dealing with here, so it's not as dangerous. Still dangerous, but it's not as dangerous. Hope that helps, in Watson. But I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want anybody else to get hurt doing it too. So I would just recommend just do like Spoonie 81 said, and wait till the end of the year and go buy a bunch of new lights. And I think that would save you a lot of time and a lot of trouble. Michael Lamartina said, "This is awesome. Too bad I don't know how to solder. Need this done so bad as all the blow-up lights have gone out completely." And I sent him to the new video that I did. And if you haven't seen the new update video, I'll put a link to it right here where you can go check it out, where we used the recommendation from, I can't remember who exactly was it from, but use the little connectors, little pop connectors, to where you don't have to solder. When I did that video a year ago, I didn't have any other way to put them together except to solder and use that. So that's what I did. Don Kimry asks, "This is great, but I have a Gimme 8-foot Santa. When we put it out, it worked fine. Now no light or fan. I took the power supply to another inflatable. Any ideas?" Now on that too, make sure that you are getting the right polarity on when you're putting these power supplies, when you're swapping them in and out to different ones, because if you don't, like I said, you might plug it up in wrong polarity and nothing come on. Don, I would definitely recommend checking to make sure that, if you've got it hooked up to one way and it's not working, flip the connection and see if they come on. If they come on, you just had the polarity messed up on there, and that's probably all it is. And like I said, it's a 50-50 shot. You're going to get it right anyways, but if your luck's like mine, sometimes 50-50's way too not in your favor. So try that out, Don, and see if that works. More than likely, like I said, you've got something going on. If it was working before and you took one that was working and hooked it to that one, more than likely you've probably got a bad, like I said, your polarity's off on that. Okay? Hope that helps. Well, guys, that's about all it on that part. Like I said, hope I went over some of that stuff, some questions you guys have had. If you have any other questions, like I said, always just leave them in the comments. I really like that you guys put questions in the comments. I can help answer them. Other people can answer them, and then we can all kind of, people can skim through the comment section to find answers to probably the same question that they've got. So I think that's really working out well, and I really appreciate all the new subscribers. I have never in my life thought I would have 100 subscribers, and I just really appreciate you new guys that are coming in here and checking out my videos and stuff, and I really enjoy it. Now, to the bead benders real quick, there's something really cool that happened 2 days ago, I guess. For a long time, I've been wanting to make it to where I could sell a bender kit that was for a left-handed guitar, because if you don't know, these things are all made to go in right-hand guitars. And it's something that I had talked to my machinist about in the past, but I'd never had anybody really ask me, "Hey, can you install this into a left-handed guitar?" Until the other day. A guy sent me a message, "Hey, could you turn this guy around to where it would work in a left-handed guitar? I'd really appreciate it." And I said, "Let me see what I can do." And I absolutely would, something I've really wanted to do in the past, to make this able to play in a left-handed guitar. So anyways, I contacted my machinist guy, the guy who makes my parts for me, and he said, "Yeah, I think I can do that," and no problem. And so I got all that worked up, and then not 2 hours later, like I said, this has never happened where somebody's messaged me about putting a bender into a left-handed guitar. Not 2 hours later, another guy contacted me and said, "Hey, can you turn one of these guys around? We're working a left-handed guitar." I'm like, it's funny you asked that, because 2 hours ago, the first ever comment I had about it asked me about it. So yeah, hopefully and maybe within a month or so, I'm gonna have some of these guys. And the only thing I got to do really is flip this right here from being a right-handed to where it's basically the same thing, but it's going the opposite direction. Everything else should work fine on it. So hopefully that will work out good. All I've been working on with the benders, I've been putting these guys together. I've been turning down these knobs. I take these 1/2-inch aluminum, 1/2-inch long, 3/4 thickness, and I turn them down to to a final thickness of 7/16, and then I bore a hole into them, and then I countersink one side, and that's where the string goes through. And I just do that so that the string, if I can find the dang, I just do that so that the string can fish through the side there, and then the actual string can actually sit inside of the knob. I just always feel like that worked out pretty good doing it that way. And then I take Man, I lose stuff like nobody's business. Oh, I take just a bolt, cut the head off of it, and then that's what actually goes into this part. Take that, find the other thing. Oh yeah, this guy here. This is called a... Dang it, I can't remember the name of it. Basically what it does is it puts these little grooves that's on these teeth onto this, and then I take a press and I press and weld this into this hole, so that makes it a really strong connection. So yeah, I've been working on that. Like I said, I've got about 5 of them, which 2 of them are going to be left-handed, first ever left-handed benders. So I think that's interesting. I don't know if any other companies that offer that, or I think most of the ones that they have, you can flip them either way, so there's probably not any effect. But the design of mine has always been that way, and you know, you could, if you put that into a left-handed guitar, you have to mount it upside down, and it would just wouldn't be right. I thought that was pretty interesting. So I've been working on them. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. We had my mom came over. My family, we just kind of did a thing here with my immediate family that lives in the house with me, and my mom came over and we ate. Thanksgiving's always been my favorite holiday for the mere fact of I don't have to buy anybody anything. We're just all going to get together, cook all day, and eat and hang out. And that's why I've always loved Thanksgiving. I love Christmas too, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of times the hassle with Christmas sometimes takes away from the actual best part about Christmas, of just everybody being together and being able to enjoy the holiday as what it's meant to be. So like I said, don't get me wrong, I love Christmas. I love the atmosphere, I love the smells, and I love the Christmas lights and the inflatables, and taking the kids to see all the lights and all that stuff. And it's just, hopefully with as crappy as this year's been, hopefully we can all have a great Christmas and turn the year around, maybe right there toward the end before we start another year, and maybe 2021 will be better than 2020. I don't know if it will or not, but I hope so. Both my kids went back to school today, so or both my oldest kids, they went back to school today. One of them had to stay home because some of the teachers were getting sick, but that was before Thanksgiving holidays, so they basically were off the week before Thanksgiving, the week of Thanksgiving, and then they went back to school today. So it was a good thing. I'm just glad they're back in school. I can't teach them like a teacher can, and they don't listen to me like they listen to a teacher, so that helps out. Anyways, guys, like I said, if you have any questions or comments about any of the stuff that I've went over in this video, leave them in the comments. I'll be glad to help you as much as I can. And if you can't figure out what's going on with your inflatable, send me an email with some pictures or video or whatever, what you got, and then maybe I can diagnose it a little bit better that way, because sometimes it's hard to really get an idea what's going on by reading a comment and then having to use my fingers to comment back to you, to where I think a video or email or some pictures might be a lot easier. And you can't put pictures in a YouTube comment section, so the only other way you can do it is to send me an email. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. If you liked the video, give me a like, and if you liked it, please subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys.